Hello, viewers at home. My name is Mr. Comet. I'm going to be doing a music lesson for Arts for the Schools. And a little bit about myself. I am a music teacher and artist, and I produce music as well. I've been playing guitar, trumpet, organ, and/or drums in some combination for most of my life, for about 25 years. And so what we're going to be doing is, just to make it easy in case you don't have an instrument there at home, we're going to be doing a pots and pans drum kit together. And so just to kind of give you a little bit of an overview on what it is that you're going to need for this, it's pretty simple. Just a hi-hat. I used a cheese grater. You can use a frying pan cheese grater or anything like that. And you want something that's going to be like a metal clap, something that's going to not sustain like a cymbal, but it's just going to hit and release. And then for my crash cymbal, I used a metal pan lid, and that worked really well. It's definitely a little bit loud, so it's one of those things where you can have a lot of fun with it if there's nobody around, and I certainly did, as you'll see. You have your snare drum. For mine, I just used a large jar of peanut butter, just Jif peanut butter that hadn't been opened. It actually had a really nice tone, and it was really easy to pick up with the microphone, so I was pretty happy with that. For tom drums, I just used a series of books, mostly hardcover, just thick books that I could bang on, and it would kind of have a lower muffled tone. You're going to want to use, for your bell, I used a saucepan, and same thing with your ride cymbal. You can use different varieties of pots and pans and just see what sounds good. For the ride, you want a distinct high-pitched ding, and that's going to be situated on your right side. Your cymbal crash is going to be on your left, close to the center. Your hi-hat's going to be on your all the way to your left. Your snare is going to be close to your lap, and then I stomped on the ground with my shoe to create a bass drum. You can also, if you sit on a wooden box or crate, you can kick it as well. And then I used a metal thermos as a cowbell. And then for my drumsticks, I just used some old broken hangers. So as I said, that actually worked quite well. And so the first thing that we're going to learn is kind of the basics of rhythm. And so as far as that's concerned, we're going to keep it pretty simple with a slow 4/4 time signature. And so that's 4 quarter notes in every measure. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we could further subdivide that into eighth notes. So it'd be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, so it'd be 8 of those, bop, 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 inside of one measure. And then you can further subdivide into 16th notes, and so that's 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. And then you can go 30 seconds or 64th notes as far as you want to go, and then a whole note would be 4. It comprises one measure, so it's ba 3 4 ba, and then a half note is half of that. It has the same length as 2 quarter notes. Da da da. So the first tune that we're going to do is originally by Robert Johnson, who we'll talk about a little bit more later on. He was a really interesting person with a very interesting story, and one of the all-time blues greats. We are going to be playing along to a cover by the Rolling Stones, just because in a lot of the original Robert Johnson recordings, it's just him playing guitar and kind of using it as a percussion instrument. And so in this case, you'll see that it's a pretty simple 1, 2, bum, ba. So you're going to keep on the hi-hat, and you can hit different parts of the hi-hat to give you a different sound and different feel. And then the bass drum just continuing a 1, bum, 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 bum. So we're going to put it all together. It should be a lot of fun. So here is Love in Vain by the Rolling Stones, covering Robert Johnson. Alright, you guys, well, I can definitely tell you that making that one was a lot of fun, and I hope you guys had fun with it too. You notice it was pretty straightforward, and a lot of people get scared by the notation. They see 4 over 4 and it looks like a fraction, and in some ways it is, because when we look at what we call a measure, which is one measure of 4 quarter notes, or if you're in 6 over 8, it's one measure of 6 eighth notes, which we're going to see in the next song. So 6 over 8, for example, is the same as 3 over 4, it's just subdivided differently. And so you can go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or you can go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, which is 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So instead of dividing into 2 eighth notes, which is a quarter note, 1 and 2 and 3 and, we're dividing into 2 pairs of triplets. Triplet, triplet. And a quick note on some of the stuff we're going to talk about. When I say, for example, if I'm counting and it's subdivided into 3, I'll say triplet, triplet, triplet. But if it's subdivided, let's say it's 4, 4, and I want to subdivide it into eighth notes, so it's the same as 8 over 8 because they both are equal to the same thing as a fraction, so I can say 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And if I want to subdivide even further, I can do what are called 16th notes. And 16th notes, it's a little bit funny, but the way you do it is 1E and a. So in 4/4 it would be 1E and a, 2E and a, 3E and a, 4E and a, 1E and a, 2E and a, 3E and a, 4E and a. And if I refer to something that happens on, say, the third 1, it'll be 1E and, so I'll say it's on the and. Or if it's on the 4th 16th note, I'll say it's on the so 1E and So you can, for instance, have a beat that's 1E and 2E and 3E and 4. Or you can put the subdivided into 2 and subdivide into 3 and put them together and do a triplet at the same time as a doublet or 2 quarter notes or 2 eighth notes, depending on how you're subdividing it. And that will be this, and so just to give you an example of what that sounds like, so if I have 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And then my triplet is so if it's 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm subdividing into 3, so it'll be 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. And so that's 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. And so when I go ahead and add in the subdivided into 2 quarter note, in this case, it will sound like this. Triplet, 1 and 2 and triplet, triplet, triplet. So in the next tune it's in 6/8, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this song is Holiday Inn by Elton John.